sisters and any heart-centered brothers who may be joining as well. What a delight it is to be with you today, sharing this short talk and cooking class with you. So I do hope that you can hear me and see me okay. I'm trusting that the sound is working. So if you're joining me live, then welcome. And if you're watching this recording, also welcome. At any point at all, if you want to ask questions, then please do so by writing in the comments. Now, our theme today is focused on the Creatrix. And if you're a man, then we would say the masculine equivalent, which is the creator. And the Creatrix is just this really powerful feminine archetype who I consider to be the queen of spring. And in this talk, you're going to be learning all about why that is, and we'll then go into our cooking class where I'm going to be showing you how to make a beautiful dessert which is just super nourishing and is going to feed and awaken your own Creatrix. Now, before I begin, I just want to take a moment to call in the Creatrix. So I'm just popping my hand over my heart and one hand over my womb space and calling in the energies of the Creatrix and all of your wisdom, all of your knowledge. And may whatever is shared here today be for the highest good of all. So let's start off by getting to know the Creatrix. Who is she? And why is she the queen of spring? Now, to answer that, I want you to tune into the energy of the springtime. So outside in nature, it's spring in the UK right now, and nature is just flourishing. You know, so many of the plants are bursting to life, and I know for me, living in the yurt, I feel so blessed to just be that little bit closer to nature. And it's absolutely stunning. I see all these plants just like wanting to grow, and it's like they just want to grow wildly as well without any effort. And this is the energy of the Creatrix. She is the one who allows her own life force and creativity to like burst forth. It's like her energy just wants to kind of rise, and she wants to grow, and she wants to create and birth new things into the world. And spring is all about nature's creative energy being expressed. And this is what the Creatrix wants to do. She wants to express her creativity and whatever ideas, whatever projects, dreams and visions that she has, or that you have. It's the Creatrix inside, the inner Creatrix, who wants to help us in bringing them to life and really birthing them into being. So you can ask yourself now, like, what do you have inside of you that wants to come out? What are the seeds that you have within you? What are the dreams that you have within you? What are the dream seeds that you have within you? And so the Creatrix knows that she is here to express and create, and she knows that she is unique, that there is no one else like her in the world. And she deeply trusts that she's here for a reason, and there's this sacred purpose to her life. And she knows that there is no one else who is like her. So we are all like that, right? We all have this Creatrix energy because there is no one else like us in the world. There's been billions of human beings, and yet no one else in the world has the same DNA as you, the same fingerprints. We are all so unique, yet we are all so similar. But the Creatrix is the one, she's rooted in her sacral chakra, and it's like she really embodies emotional expression, creativity, and to some extent sexuality as well. And her powers lie within her womb space, or if you're a man, in your hara. And this space for a woman, the womb space, is really our magic portal to the feminine. And so the Creatrix, she is the one who has access to this portal, and she can be in communion with it. It's like she can open up to what wants to come into this space and through this space. And whether that is literally new life itself and, you know, giving birth to a child, or whether that is a project or a dream or whatever. Now, the Creatrix, she's also the governess of like emotional expression. She's also governess of like movement, of creativity, and all these things that really represent the this movement of energy from the inside outwards. She allows life energy and the power of creativity to flow through her, through movement, through dance, through creative and emotional expression. And so we can ask, how can she help us? How can the Creatrix help us? And she can help us in unleashing our creativity. She can help us to bring those dream seeds into being. She can help us process our emotions. She can help us to really get in touch with our anger and to transmute this energy into this potent force that can literally transform the world. And she is the one who can help us to release other emotions that may be keeping us stuck and getting in the way of us fulfilling our potential in life. She can help us move, whether it be physically moving through life, or moving our emotions, or moving through our limits and whatever it is that's holding us back. So it's like she's the queen of movement, the queen of like forward action as well. And this is what spring is like. Nature is moving forwards. She's also the queen of making decisions so that she can move forward in life, because if you don't know, if you stay stuck in confusion, you stay in the same place, you don't move forwards. So the Creatrix is really about us making a decision and being able to move forwards. So how can your food and lifestyle changes awaken and feed and nourish your own inner Creatrix? So there's ways that are going to help her in lifestyle, and there's foods and cooking styles, etc., that are going to nourish her. Now, lifestyle-wise, moving your body, that is going to get your energy flowing and your life force moving, and that's going to help to awaken her. Getting creative, so whether that is maybe it's through dance or painting or poetry or through sex or whatever artistic and creatively expressive endeavor you can do, that is going to really help to kind of activate her and unlock and unleash her. Also giving yourself permission to release emotion. So whether that's having like a really good cry, creating the space for some safe like anger release. Maybe you have a session where you're really involving your body and using your voice as well. Maybe it's like screaming into your pillow. That can really help to get her energy moving and to just allow that force that she has to kind of come out, and then you can start to access the wisdom that she holds. Also, laughter is the Creatrix's medicine. So anything that can make you laugh, so whatever that is, perhaps it's being with friends, or maybe it's watching some comedy, or maybe it's whatever way it is where you can access your laughter, that is really going to help her. And also making decisions, that is really going to help her as well. So there's a quote that really speaks to this. Where is it? It's here. And it's a quote by William Hutchinson Murray. And I'm sure you may have heard this before, so I just want to read this to you because I just think this speaks so beautifully to the Creatrix. So, until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decisions, raising in one's favour all manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamed would have come his way. Whatever you can do or dream, you can. Begin it. Boldness has genius, power and magic in it. Begin it now. And so it's like when we begin things, we start to activate an intelligence, a force that this is what the Creatrix is all about. And again, if we look to nature, if we look to the feminine, nature is the feminine, then we start to get a sense of what this energy is. And so the Creatrix is the one who knows that anything, like anything, is possible, and that if she can see it, she can create it. And this is something which I think we have lost touch with. We've lost touch with our creative potential and with the power that we have to birth into being that which we see in our dreams and in our visions. And it's like the Creatrix is the one who knows that she possesses the magic and the power to create anything that she sees and anything that she desires. So she is the one who calls this creative power and potential back into her body, so she can access that and then create the magic that she was born to create. So I am talking to you, I'm talking to all of us. And so this is what is being called forth in our world right now, because the world needs all spiritual, heart-centered women and men of the world to just truly step into being their gifts, creating. And this is the gift of the Creatrix. It's the energy that she has to move forward our dreams from seed into being. So she is the one calling us to step into our sacred purpose, to step up our game, to get out of confusion and to step into the potential that we are. And so I just want to pause here for a moment and to ask you this, and it may help you to place your hands over your womb space, or one hand on your heart, one hand over your womb space or your hara for a moment, and just take a breath. Take a breath all the way down into your womb space. And allow your eyes to close and just feel yourself dropping down into your body. And use your breath, use your attention to take yourself down into your womb space, into this magic feminine portal. And just invite the Creatrix in, welcome her in. And just take this moment to be in communion with her. And to ask her to share with you, what is your next step? What is the next step that you should take to have you moving in the direction of your potential and your purpose? And ask her to show you the way, because she knows. The Creatrix inside of you knows. And dare to dream. Often we don't allow ourselves to dream big enough. So give yourself full permission to dream big right now. And just pay attention to what's there. And know that this is your Creatrix who is calling you. And you can ask her, what limits are in your way? What blocks are in your way? And be willing to see them. Let her know that you're willing to see them. Ask her, what are the limitations in your way? And then ask her to reveal a way forward for you. And you may want to take some time after this class to sit with her. But for now, just thank her for all that she's shown and shared with you in this moment. And know that you can come back to her and call upon her in any moment you wish. And you may now start to get present to, what plan do you need to make now to move your life forward in the way that you want to? And your challenge is to do it, to make your plan and to start taking action. And by doing that, you're going to start to feed and awaken your Creatrix even more. And then the more you feed her, the more that you're going to build this inner trust that you can, move forwards and keep moving forwards. And so now, as we get ready to head into the kitchen, I want to just talk about how we can feed the Creatrix and what is really going to help her in terms of supporting her energy. So again, let's look to the feminine, let's look to nature. And what we see with the energy in nature at this time is this quick rising energy. And so this is the energy of the Creatrix. She likes this rising energy. And it's this energy that just wants to move forward. So to feed her, we need to make sure that we are eating foods which support and encourage this rising and moving forwards of energy within us. So I'm going to share with you some foods and some cooking styles and some tastes that are really going to enhance and nourish and support this energy, because we all have this energy within us, whether we're male or female. And the Creatrix, as with all the feminine archetypes that I work with, they're connected to certain organs in the body. And with the Creatrix, she's connected to the liver and the gallbladder. And so in particular, we're going to look at foods and cooking styles, etc., that are known to really help and support these two organs. Now remember, this isn't something that I'm just making up and plucking from thin air. I can't take credit for that, unfortunately. This knowledge that I share with you is ancient knowledge that our ancestors knew. And so what plant foods are there that nourish the Creatrix? So anything which has this strong, growing, like upwards rising energy. So plants such as leeks, spring onion, celery, chives, sprouts, they all have this like quick upwards growing energy. Also other vegetables such as green beans can help, and Chinese cabbage can also help, so can broccoli. Also has this kind of strong upwards energy. And most of these foods are green as well, and it is the colour green that just really nourishes the Creatrix. And I know when I'm looking outside right now, all I can see is green. Also sprouts and sprouted foods. And if you think about them, they have this life force in them that is wanting to just sprout forth and grow. So, sprouted seeds, sprouted beans, sprouted grains, they're all really beneficial for the Creatrix. Now, the whole grains that are known to feed her are barley, so whether that's pot barley or pearl barley or oats as well. Also, not oats as well, sorry, flakes. So we've got whole barley, so pot barley or pearl barley or barley flakes. Also oats or whole oats or oat flakes. Then we have wheat and rye. Also light noodles as well, so things like wheat noodles or things like pasta, couscous as well, these kind of whole grain kind of products, or the lighter kind of like light basmati rice is really good for her, and it's really nourishing as well. The Creatrix tends to benefit from like lighter foods and lighter cooking styles. Now the beans and proteins, which are particularly nourishing for her, the Creatrix, is tempeh and tofu. So the soybean is very good. And like I said, she benefits from this these light opening foods. So in terms of cooking styles, light cooking of vegetables, so things like quick boiling, steaming, also blanching, like quick blanching really helps. Things like creating pickles, so whether that's a short-term pickle that's been pressed for 60 minutes or a longer-term pickle such as sauerkraut or actual pickles, these also, because they have this sour taste, they help to nourish and feed this kind of upwards opening, rising energy of the Creatrix. So she also benefits from more kind of cleansing foods, so things like daikon, or it's known as mouli, also shiitake mushrooms, which can help. These ingredients are quite cleansing ingredients and can be known to help with dissolving fats. These can be really useful. So too can things like berries, so especially the more sour type of berries such as raspberries and gooseberries as well. So the taste that I've mentioned already that feeds their Creatrix is this sour taste. So whether that's from green sour apples or lemons, citrus fruits, but also from naturally fermented vegetable pickles such as sauerkraut or gherkins, also naturally fermented vinegars, so maybe there's brown rice vinegar, apple cider vinegar, umeboshi vinegar. These all have this like natural sour taste, and they're very good at being able to feed the Creatrix and kind of activating her energy. Also, a moderate and good use of oil is also important for the Creatrix. And when I talk about oil, I'm talking about like good quality oils to use. So I think it's time to get into the kitchen right now. Before I do, let me see if I can actually access the comments. Now, I haven't been able to do this in the past. Oh, I can't see on here. Okay, I can't see anything at the moment. So let's go into the cooking class, into the kitchen. There we go. So I hope that you are able to see. Is this good? Can you see me? Okay. So today I am going to be showing you how to make a beautiful, delicious lemon pudding. Now, in all desserts, I'm really inviting this divine sweetness in rather than patriarchal sweetness. Now, what on earth do I mean by that? So, divine sweetness is nourishing, it's wholesome, and it's really life-affirming. Whereas patriarchal sweetness, it likes to present itself and mask itself as this, but actually it's creating harm and suffering, and perhaps not in the short term, but over a long-term prolonged use, this is what it's doing. So our job as women is to begin to undo the patriarchal conditioning that we've been subject to in our diets, and to replace it, to look through the lens of the divine feminine, so that we can really see and understand food and how we feed ourselves through this lens. So let's make a start with the lemon pudding, and I just want to make sure that you can see what I'm doing. Just move that up a little bit there. Okay, so we're going to start off with apple juice. So the apple juice that I'm using here is 100% pure pressed apple juice. So you want to make sure that it's sugar-free and it's best quality as possible. So I'm going to start off by measuring out 500 millilitres of apple juice and just pouring that straight into the pan. And then I'm going to add in an ingredient here. This, you can see, it's something called Agar Flakes, it's called on here, or it's also known as Agar, and you can get different varieties of this. So Agar is a seaweed, and it's actually the vegan equivalent of gelatin, and it helps things to set, and depending on the quantity that you use, it's going to create different consistencies. So you can find this in really good health food stores, some oriental stores, and maybe online as well. The company who I get it from is ClearSpring. It's a really amazing company in the UK who stock all kinds of amazing ingredients for cooking. Now, it comes in different ways. This way that I'm using it today is in flakes, but you can also get it in powder, in long strips, in bars as well. So you will need to check your packet just to make sure that you're going to measure out the right quantity. So for this, it's saying 1 teaspoon per 250 millilitres of liquid. So in here we have 500 millilitres of apple juice. I'm just looking for my teaspoon, and we're going to use, that is a tablespoon, we're going to use 3 teaspoons, and I can't find my teaspoon measurement, of Agar. Let's see, this is half a teaspoon. Okay, so I'm going to do 6 in here. So just, pour this straight into your pan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 3 teaspoons of Agar into your pan. And I'm just going to pop the heat on here. So we want to bring this up to a boil. So you want to have it on a fairly high heat to begin with. So we've added in the agar. Now, just to speak about this ingredient, because I know it's an unusual ingredient, and just notice if in this moment you are checking out and you're like, okay, she's talking about an ingredient that I don't have, and because I don't have it, I'm not going to then be able to make this. So I just want to stop you right there, because this is a limit, okay? And your Creatrix is like, no. So know that this is available to you. It costs about £4 to £5 for a box like this. How much is in here? 30 grams. So it might seem expensive, but you can use this. It has so many different uses. You can use it to make jellies, mousses, things like panna cotta, even like creams, that kind of thing. And it's really packed full of minerals, and so it's an amazing staple to have in your food cupboard. And like I said, it has many uses as well, so I would highly recommend using this. Like I say, you're adding in minerals as well, and it's just a wonderful way of bringing the sea and the sea life and sea plants into your cooking as well. Now, next thing that I'm going to do is add in a pinch of sea salt. So again, I'm always going to highlight the importance of quality ingredients, and here we're using sea salt instead of regular table salt because it has all of its minerals, and it's like whole salt basically that hasn't been processed. So I'm just adding in a little pinch of salt into here, and you might be wondering why that is. So we can consider that overall, desserts are they have more of a feminine energy about them. By adding in a pinch of salt, it's kind of like we're honouring the masculine and creating balance. So the salt is helping to do that. And also the salt really helps to bring out sweetness as well. I don't know, maybe you've experienced that, where you find that adding the salt just naturally helps to bring out the sweetness. So another way of saying this is, like, desserts are more yin, and by adding salt we are adding in a little bit of yang and creating more balance. And it's also another way of adding some more minerals in as well. And so what we're going to do is bring this up to a boil, and we're going to whisk it. I want you to whisk it frequently until all of the agar has dissolved. But once it starts boiling, then I'll turn it down and simmer it a little bit. So we'll need to do this for about 7 minutes, and what I'll do is I'll set my timer for 3 minutes, because in the halfway mark we are then going to add in some other ingredients into this. So I'm just setting my timer, and the timer is, I would say, a must-have in the kitchen. I know for me, I don't know about you when you're cooking, but I can often forget that I've put maybe some nuts in the oven to roast, and if I don't set my timer, then I will definitely burn them. So a timer is a must-have in the kitchen. And again, a timer is like the masculine, and I know that I can be in a very feminine space in the kitchen. I can create chaos, and it can just be like this wild place in the kitchen. And so bringing in these things like a timer, it's like bringing in a bit of kind of like masculine structure. And yeah, sometimes that can be very needed. Now, let's talk about desserts in general, because we can ask, the question of how often should we eat desserts? And I think this is a really good question, because I remember before I discovered this way of eating and approaching health, I was really searching for different ways to feel better in my body, and I was trying out all kinds of things. And since I understood that fruit was considered really healthy, my thought process was like, okay, let me just eat as much fruit as possible because this is healthy. So if I eat as much as possible, then surely I'm going to be healthy. And I remember I was quite young. I must have been 14, 15, being at school, and I was given my dinner money, which was £1. And one day I decided that I was just going to buy all bananas for my lunch. And so I just had all bananas for my lunch, because I was on this quest of, like, I wanted to feel healthier. I wanted to do things that felt good and felt healthier. And then in my in my early 20s, when I was working in London, I started experimenting, and so I'd eat loads of fruit for breakfast. Okay, this is kind of coming up to boil now, so I'm just going to turn that down, and I'm just going to stir it so that the agar flakes in here, if you're not going to stir it, I'm going to use a wooden spoon because this is quite noisy. If you don't stir it, then it can settle on the bottom of the pan and get stuck and burn. So we want to make sure that we are, as much as possible, stirring this. So yeah, coming back to the story, in my early 20s, and I was living in London, and yeah, just again, really wanting to feel better in my body. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to have fruit for breakfast, like lots of yogurt, lots of fruit, because that seemed to be like the healthy thing to do. And I just did not feel good after eating that, and I couldn't work out why. And I was doing all these detoxing, like raw foods and detox diets, and I just did not feel good, and I never knew why. I was like, I'm eating all these healthy foods, and surely I'm supposed to feel good, and how come I don't? And you know, I was of this frame of mind, like, okay, well, fruit is supposed to be healthy, all these raw vegetables are supposed to be healthy, but why am I not feeling good? And when I did my training at the International Macrobiotic School and started to see life through the lens of food and life, and how I approach my health through the lens of the divine feminine, I started to understand and to see that everything is energy. And everything is vibrational. That's just kind of like how it is. And basically, what I didn't know was when I was eating fruit, and this was actually having like a weakening effect on my body, on my condition. And yeah, of course, it's a living food. It's packed full of goodness. But for me to have this, especially with my constitution, with my body type, and then with my condition, which was already in a state, this was not good for me. This was not creating balance. It was creating even more depletion, even more weakening. And this was like introducing more feminine energy into my body, into my life. And I was already way in the wounded feminine. I didn't need any more feminine, because that was just going to take me more into the wounded feminine. What I needed to bring me back was some masculine energy, especially from my food. And so this understanding was so powerful, because I realized that unwittingly I was actually, even though I wanted to create more health, I was unknowingly creating more imbalance for myself. And because my condition, like I said, was already weak, to add more fruit to this was adding like this more expansion, and I needed to kind of come in like this. And so this way of eating and living and understanding food, it's about understanding the energetic nature of food, of your own body, of what's happening in your life, of understanding different ingredients and how they can impact you, how cooking them can change the energy as well. And it's like literally becoming an alchemist, this amazing alchemist where you're able to really understand how you can make changes to the food that you eat to create whatever it is that you want to create, and how you can learn to read your body, to read the signs of your body, that whatever feminine archetype is out of balance, then you know how to feed her. So there are other feminine archetypes as well, which I shared about in a course that I launched in 2020, and I'll be launching a new course soon, and I talk about all of them, because we need to know, it's really important to know how to nourish and feed all of them. So it's been such a beautiful journey, just understanding like how desserts can affect us. And so coming back to the question, how often should we eat desserts? It really depends on your condition. It depends if you're in good health. So generally, if you're in good health, then you can kind of eat them about 4 times a week, every other day. But if you are sick, if you have a health condition going on, then you may need to avoid them for a while until you recover. Or maybe it's that you just need to reduce them to maybe once a week or something like that. And this is where it comes to just understanding that we are all different, we are all unique, and what works for me isn't necessarily going to work for you. What works for your next door neighbour isn't necessarily going to work for you. What's going to work for you is not going to work for someone else. And so this is about us taking time and patience to understand ourselves and to understand the nature, the energy of food. And so this dessert that we are creating today is perfect for the Creatrix. And the timer just went off, so I'm going to add in the next ingredients into this mix. So we've got our apple juice, our agar and our salt. And now we're going to add in 250 millilitres of lemon juice. So this is pure lemon juice. And so that's going to go straight into the pan. Also going to add in some turmeric. And we're going to do about, where's that little one gone? 1/8 of a teaspoon. And this is going to add and make a really beautiful yellow colour in the dessert, as well as receiving all of the goodness and benefits from turmeric. So we're adding that in there. And then we're going to add in some rice syrup, which I'll talk about in a moment, and some vanilla extract here. So this vanilla extract, this one has just got some water, ethanol and vanilla extract. Oh, I love the smell. And I'm going to add in 1/2 teaspoon there. So just make sure again that you get good quality if you can. Lots of them have chemicals in or have sugar in, so avoid that if that's possible. Okay, so we've added that in, and then I'm going to let that simmer away whilst continuously stirring again for about another 3 minutes, because we want to make sure that all of the agar dissolves properly in there. And then the last thing that I'm going to add is our brown rice syrup. So let me show you. Brown rice syrup here. Can you see that? Yeah, there you go. Oh, I can see some comments. Miranda, hi my love. Oh, it's so good to see you here, or for you to be with me here. I wish I could see you. I was going to do this on Zoom, and I need to work on my technology. Watch this space. So let me add in the rice syrup, and then I'm going to share with you about rice syrup, because I think it's so important that we understand and we know about sweeteners, because us women especially, and if you join me for my last class, The Call of the Mother, you'll understand that we need sweetness, especially women. This is why you'll notice that men and women, women tend to have more sweet cravings compared to men. This is because we naturally need a bit more sweetness compared to men. We're just kind of built that way. It's in our feminine DNA. And so it's really good to know how to bring in healthy sweetness, like divine sweetness, into our diets. So here I'm adding in 1 cup of brown rice syrup. I'm just going to get all of that out and put that in there and stir that in. And just make sure that you stir it well. I think using a whisk is always better, but because my whisk is so noisy, I've just used the wooden spoon today. So, brown rice syrup. Now, the reason why I actually didn't know about brown rice syrup at all, it's like in the last cooking class I said I didn't know about brown rice, and I didn't even know there was brown rice syrup. So as we go into kind of like the subject of sweeteners and sugar, I think it's really important that we start to understand this, because sugar is just so ubiquitous. It's found everywhere and in everything. And once we start to become more present to where it's found and the possible places where it might creep into our diet and then into our bodies, then we can kind of shine light upon our habits and our choices and create the space for us to make change. So many people are really waking up to the damage that refined sugar causes, whilst I think the majority are still ignoring or downplaying the harm that it has and it actually causes. And I want to read, I've got this other quote that I want to read to you, and it's from this guy called Patrick Holford, who wrote this great book, Healing with Whole Foods. And I think it really speaks to the detrimental effects of sugar. So this is all about refined sugar. And so refined sugar delivers high energy and enables one to keep working. This is what patriarchy wants. But unfortunately, it is addicting and contributes to disease and unhappiness. While in very small amounts it can be used as a medicine, in large amounts sugar leads instead to obesity, hypoglycemia, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, anemia, immune deficiency, tooth decay, bone loss. It contributes to herpes, yeast infections, cancer, PMS, menstrual problems, and male impotence. It weakens the mind, causing loss of memory and concentration, nervousness, shyness, violence, excessive or no talking, negative thought patterns, paranoia, emotional upsets such as self-pity, arguments, irritability, and the desire for only sweet things in life. So we can see here that eating refined sugar, it not only affects the body, but it's affecting our mind, it's affecting our mood, and it's creating stress in the body, like unnecessary stress in the body. And it's something that we can really take out, and it can be so avoided. Because if we're eating sugar and it's creating stress in our body, then ultimately that stress is going to be shown on the outside as well. And it's going to be creating imbalance and separation and all this kind of thing as well. So if you're having sugar in your diet, and I'm not just talking about in desserts, but it's in things such as breads, sauces, cereals, it's in juices, in cakes, in biscuits, in chocolate, it's absolutely everywhere, then I just really strongly urge you, even beg you, literally I will beg you to just stop, because it's wreaking havoc in your system and it's creating so much imbalance. And if you don't feel it now, then perhaps you've been blessed with a strong constitution and a stronger condition, but it doesn't mean that it's not affecting you. And so I really want you to consider your relationship with sugar. And I would even go as far as to make this statement that eating sugar is feeding the wounded feminine. That is huge. And there's a whole explanation for that, and perhaps I need to do a whole class and a whole talk on why that is, but it really does contribute to the wounded feminine. And so I know there's so many different names for sugar. Okay, there's different types, and it's about us really educating ourselves and becoming aware of all the different names and raising our awareness so that we can begin to make change. So today we've used brown rice syrup, this sweetener, and this comes from a whole grain, and it's not as expansive or as taxing to the body as other sweeteners. So for me, I've always used rice syrup or barley malt. These come from brown rice or from barley, and I find them the most gentle to my body. And I experiment as well. Don't take my word for it. Go out there and experiment. I also like to use maple syrup sometimes for a treat. And I did go through a phase of having coconut sugar, but that does not agree with me now. So I want you to experiment with this and to try it out for yourself and to see, and to start paying attention to where are sugars coming into your diet. Is there anywhere where you could start to replace sugar? So for example, if you're someone who has sugar in your tea, and I know us Brits, our kind of builder's tea, our black tea with milk in it, and sometimes you have sugar in it. If that is what you have, then maybe you can get some brown rice syrup and start having brown rice syrup instead of your regular white sugar. If you have sugar on your cereal or in your porridge, whatever, then find a healthier alternative. There are small changes that we can start to make that are really going to help and are really going to make a difference. And so let me check now this, because I've been stirring it for a little while. Now to check to see if the agar has all dissolved, you can put your spoon in. If you get a spoon and just put it into the pan, and then on the back of the spoon it should be completely clear. You shouldn't have any little specks on there. If there are little specks on there, then that will be the agar flakes, and it means that they've not quite dissolved. So I don't think they're dissolved in there yet. So I'm just going to stir that again for a couple of minutes. So that's one way to check to make sure that the agar is dissolved. Now, as I'm stirring here, let me see. I can see some comments. Let me go in and see. Yeah, Miranda, you've not heard of brown rice syrup either. Yeah, a lot of this that I'm sharing with you, I had no idea of any of this. And it was like discovering a new gold mine of information that I literally feel so blessed to have discovered this. I don't know where my health or my life would be had I not come across this way of eating, this way of like being able to understand my health and my body. And yeah, I feel really blessed, which is why now I want to start sharing it with women, because I think it's so important for us women, us feminine leaders out there in the world, that we really know how to take care of ourselves, so that what it is that we have to birth and bring into life, that we can do so feeling good and feeling nourished and feeling really whole. And so desserts are an important, I think they play such a important part of a healthy diet, especially for us women. And treats, you know, in the modern day, we call them treats, but they actually cause, you know, modern day treats. If you go into a shop and you say, I'm going to have a treat, and you buy, I don't know, some confectionery, a chocolate bar or sweet or something, or a cake or whatever, that is not a treat, because it is actually causing suffering and problems. And we might say, oh, but we'll only have a little bit, but then actually we have it every other day, or a little bit every day, and over time we are building up, we're like adding more and more, and what we're doing is actually harming our bodies and setting ourselves up for problems in the future. And you know what? So much degenerative disease, so many problems can be avoided, can be healed, can be fixed by looking at our diet and by cutting out these things that are causing harm. And the sad thing is that because so many people eat in this way, we think that it's okay. Our mind goes to this place of, well, they're doing it, everyone else is doing it, then somehow, because the masses are doing it, then it must be okay. And we've kind of somehow switched off our ability to just really know and like lovingly and consciously and being able to like truthfully look at what goes into our body. And it's time to change this, because you deserve more. We all deserve more. And so I just really invite you to take stock of your sugar intake in your life and looking at whatever treats you may give yourself. Like, are they really treats? And at the same time, we need balance here. I'm not saying that all sugar is bad, all these treats you shouldn't have, but putting it into perspective and recognizing that it's doing more harm than it is good. Okay, so let me check this again. Yes, so I'm not seeing any specks on here. So this final part for this dessert is we're going to then add in some corn flour, or there is another ingredient which I'll show you, but don't be scared, don't be alarmed, don't be put off. This is called kuzu, and kuzu is it's a root, and it's a very medicinal plant that can be really good for soothing the stomach, for healing the intestines. So you could use this. This is used as like a thickener, and you can use this. Or today, I just want to show you. I don't want to give you too many like weird ingredients. I know this is already strange for some of you, and the agar is already pretty strange. So I don't want to put you off by overwhelming you with too many strange ingredients. So I'm using some simple corn flour here. And so we're going to use quarter of a cup of corn flour, which I'm going to put into a bowl. And then we're going to dissolve that with some plant milk. So I'm putting my corn flour into a bowl, and I'm going to add in half a cup of plant milk. So again, check that your plant-based milk is sugar-free, and maybe it doesn't say sugar, but maybe it has another word that is sugar in disguise. So this is almond milk, and it's got spring water, organic rice, almonds, cold pressed sunflower oil and sea salt. So make sure again that you get good quality. So I'm going to add half a cup into this bowl and then mix this into a smooth paste. And this is going to add a really nice creamy kind of consistency, texture into this. Now once this, I'm going to add it into this mixture here. And then we're going to need to let this set. So we'll have to put it into the fridge for about an hour, and then it will set, and I'll show you a couple that I've got here that I've already prepared. So with the corn flour, or the kuzu, if you dare to use kuzu, and just mix it all in. And then whilst your mixture here is simmering, then pour it into the pan. And I wish you could see, I don't know if you can see this lovely, it's gone to this lovely yellow colour. So we're just going to mix that in and then turn off the heat. And then this dessert is ready. So we're going to pour it into glasses. And on the subject of, as we're just coming out of sugar, I just want to say as well, because often we can use sugar or we can use foods as a way of avoiding our feelings, or a way of like literally sugarcoating our lives. And so we may need some real courage to start to look at how we're using sugar, or how we might be using food in a way that is kind of medicating ourselves, and avoiding like really honestly facing what's going on inside. And so also, instead of focusing on taking things out, focus on what you can add in, and it just feels much nicer, especially for us women. You know, the feminine is so much about receiving. So what can you receive in your diet that is going to feel much nicer? What can you replace in your diet, rather than thinking, okay, I've got to cut out this, I've got to stop this. What can you add in and receive that is going to feel really nice? And so I want to invite you to start making healthier desserts, and to really consciously choose this for yourself as a loving act of kindness, and as a way of you feeding your own feminine in the most healthy and wholesome way. And you can start with this dessert and then stick around, because every Sunday I'm going to be showing you, I'll alternate. So next Sunday we'll do a savoury recipe, week after that we'll do a sweet recipe. And so you're going to get to know different recipes. And all it takes is for you to build up a repertoire, and then you can start playing around with it. So like this recipe, for example, you could add in some berries. So this is where I go. This is one I made earlier. So here is one that I made earlier, and I added in some frozen berries. So there's some red currants and black currants and blackberries in there. So you could add in some berries into this as well. And when you pour it into your glass, it's going to set and become this kind of lovely smooth jelly-like consistency. Okay, so I really want to encourage you and invite you to make healthy desserts, and make it a special occasion. You know, slow down, create ceremony around sitting down and taking time to enjoy and receive pleasure from eating the dessert. And you know, create, whether maybe you have a beautiful candle. I lit one here before I started this talk, but you sit down and you have a beautiful candle, and maybe you burn some incense and have some nice music on, and you just take this time, you honor this time as like time for you to nourish your feminine, to just be with yourself and enjoy that sweetness that can come from that moment, and really celebrate yourself for making a choice, for wanting to sit down and nourish yourself in this way. And so this dessert particularly feeds the Creatrix. Different desserts are going to feed different energies as well. And so maybe as you sit down and you make this dessert and you eat it, you may want to spend some time getting in touch with your own Creatrix and ask her, does she have any messages for you? What is it that you want to birth in your life? How can she help you and support you? So once you have added in the cornstarch and it's off the heat, then you can ladle it into your containers. So you may want to pop it into some small glasses like so. So you can use your ladle, or you can pour it straight into there from the pan. So I'm just using this little ladle. So we've got that, or you may want to use a small bowl. You just pop that on, and then, like I say, pop this in the fridge and let it set for about an hour, and then it will be ready for you to enjoy. And if you wanted to add a bit more luxury to this, sometimes I do, then I'll use some sugar-free oat cream or some soy cream. Once it's set, like this one, let me show you. Once it's set like this one, and then you can kind of pour oat cream on the top, and then that also makes it super lovely as well. So I hope that you have found this useful. Let me check the comments. Yeah, Nicola, oh. Oh, this baby destroys me, my peace when eating. Oh, just thinking. Oh my goodness, does that mean that you're pregnant, Miranda? Oh, if so, congratulations, and if not, I'm sorry for misreading your message. This baby destroys my peace when eating refined carbs. Yeah, believing it's a girl. Ah, amazing. Beautiful. Yeah, I think pregnancy brings a whole new ball game to the way we feed ourselves. I think during pregnancy it's good to be more relaxed and to really trust your body, but to avoid, if you're eating sugar, then see if you can replace that sugar with a healthier sugar, because as you are growing your baby, you're eating, certain energies are going into your body, and that's contributing to the constitution, to what kind of body shape and face shape and every body part shape that your baby is going to have. It's mind-blowing. So yeah, I think the more that we can eat well during pregnancy, but widely, not being too restrictive with anything, I think that's really important on that side note of pregnancy. So we are on the hour. It's time to wrap up here. I hope that you have enjoyed what I've been showing and sharing with you today. Next week, I'm going to go live and we'll still talk about the Creatrix. I'm going to share about her some more. But I'll do a savoury recipe next week. And so if you want to continue learning about her, or you want to continue developing your understanding of food, and you want to add another divine feminine recipe to your repertoire, then join me again, same time, same place. And if you can't join me live, then come on to, you'll be able to access the recording at some point as well. Oh my goodness, due in 2 days, Miranda, that is beautiful. Oh, I'm sending prayers for you and your babies. Beautiful transition into this world, how amazing. Oh, what an amazing time as well. Really, it's such a special time, isn't it, to be on the edge of like the mystery of life, and birth opens up this magic portal to the feminine and to life's great mysteries. So I wish you all the best with that, and I look forward to seeing some photos. And I don't know if I even knew that you were pregnant, so congratulations. And yeah, thank you for watching, thank you for joining me, and I look forward to next week, to seeing whoever wants to come along and join next week. And until then, I hope you look after yourself and feed yourself well. And if you have any questions, anything come up, then please let me know. Oh, and just to say on the subject of brown rice syrup as well, any good health food shop should stock this. So you may need to find out where your health food shop is, get along there and check that out. Yeah. All right, everyone, thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you again next week. Lots of love.